Hello and welcome to another episode of The Machines Marketing Across Industries. I'm here with co-founders of The Machine, Carlos and Naera, and today we're talking about something very near and dear to my heart, music. When you were working for Paramount in Europe, one of the brands you worked for is MTV, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah. Well, like you, big fan. So it was a lot of fun to work in the music industry, and a lot of events and whatnot that we produce, which were great fun to get up and running and to participate in. But ironically, the MTV, as you know all too well, has becoming less and less a music channel, more a programming channel. So with the exception of events that I can elaborate on later, the entire job just became about promoting a content, a television content channel as opposed to a TV channel.
So what does that look like? Turning something that used to be, or, has music in the title into more of a content channel.
Yeah. So the key thing about MTV is that it always had this like irreverent personality, edgy and irreverent and youthful, and kind of that was the MTV generation, right? So there was we basically took from programming to marketing it. We took that kind of approach, that kind of irreverent approach. A lot of the properties we were running that were succeeding were things like Jersey Shore, for instance, and that drew a lot of attention. That drew a lot of audience, and so we kind of started talking about the channel more as a programming channel than a music channel. The irony was that we kept getting emails left and right every day. Why don't you put more music videos? Why don't you put more music videos? Put more music videos on the channel. And every time we ran a music video, the ratings would tank.
Yeah,
tank. People. It was immediate. You went from like a reality show onto a rock video, and it was a boom, zoom. You would see like right away the decrease. So that's why we didn't run so many videos.
makes sense.
I never saw that coming, by the way.
So how do you change that then? How do you make that pivot when it comes to content?
Yeah. So what we did a number of things. One of them was just a smart, kind of corporate decision. Say to MTV. This was in Europe, in Spain specifically. This particular campaign, and it was basically taking MTV was one of the cable channels, right? Cable penetration's not remotely as big as here in the U.S., right? So you're not reaching 100% of the audience with the cable channel, even half or less actually. So we were going to take MTV from cable TV to free to air. So that means it was going to be available to the entire TV audience. So that was the first step. So now we had to make sure that that people knew about it, learned about it, because there was still a perception that MTV is a paid cable channel, right? So so this took obviously for many reasons, many months in preparation. But we essentially said, okay, there's an urgency to make sure that everybody knows, that this is happening, and so we created a campaign with the same MTV irreverence, kind of like saying MTV, free MTV is a good idea, that was the premise of the campaign. So it was so over the top, kind of unnecessary to call out. It's like, you're making pay TV, free TV. What's wrong? That's like, New York City buses being free now. Everybody's excited, right? Yeah. Well, why would that be a bad idea, right? So it was, we built this campaign purposely, like ridiculously simple and 2D, and flat, and it just said, we paid poster. We had posters all over town and bus shelters and whatnot. Like the bus shelter would say something like, it would ask people the obvious so that they would have to agree with the idea that putting MTV free was a good idea, right? Yeah. So the bus shelter said, if you think putting MTV on free TV is a good idea, wait here for the bus. And then like that, we had like tons of silly examples.
Yeah.
Like that, like we put like other posters across the street with like no stores. The only thing you could do there was keep walking, right? And they said, if you think MTV on free TV is a good idea, keep walking, right? So we had all these examples all over, towns or whatever. And we had it we had planes on the beach with a big, big banners as well, with silly messages, whatever. And then we started doing, okay, so that people know what's coming. We started connecting also the programming to it. So we started putting, Jersey Shore and South Park ran on MTV in that market, and a bunch of the other, series and shows and whatnot. And then just to kind of to complement with it, we did something that was a lot of fun. We had, it's just so people get the idea. Yeah, MTV. It's not your pay TV channel, but it's here for everybody, right? So we did a handful of huge statues of the MTV logo, like a big, MTV logo, and it was crushing the character of Kenny from South Park, who always gets killed, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, you killed Kenny.
Poor guy.
Kenny got killed, Yeah. So there was kind of like the idea of MTV has landed, and on the way, killing Kenny.
You can't get a break.
We even ran the ad also. We ran the ad, whatever, but we had the physical M's, we call them, the MTV statues around town. And I think they lasted about a week. They all got stolen.
Really?
Yeah. People just came with trucks and took them away. Like collectibles, whatever.
Oh, man.
We got a lot of press out of it. It's like,
Hey, man, getting in the paper somehow.
Yeah. So we became, word got out. That MTV was coming, and it was coming with programming, not with music.
So, do you still keep music as some part of it? You talk about like the MTV attitude, but does music still come into a piece of the MTV ecosystem whenever you make that switch and that pivot to programming?
Yeah. Absolutely. We did something that worked out phenomenally well for us. We had an events division, and I was actually running marketing and events as well. And we would have events that we would sell to cities, basically, and the events were free to the public. And we brought in The Cure, we brought in Arctic Monkeys, which is one you have on your hand right now. We brought in Arcade Fire and a number of other ones. And basically, what we would do is we would pitch the project to the cities, the city of Valencia, city of Santiago, Compostela, city of Murcia, or Madrid for that matter, or Barcelona. And we would it would be a free concert. We would produce it, schedule it, run it. We'd get typically anywhere between 35,000 people per event. We got sponsors, Heineken and the likes, whatever came on, Vodafone, the phone company came on board. And what we did is we ran it in all the MTV channels worldwide, minus US. Promoting the city, promoting the kind of like a big city event, right? Every year for them. So it was a big moneymaker. It's very profitable. It was a lot of fun, and sometimes dealing with the egos of the young artists was challenging.
That was going to be my next question. Did you ever get to hang out with any of the bands or interact with them?
We did. We actually we always threw an after party. So after every event, we do the after party. We bring the entire production team and all of us, the MTV team and whatnot. And the artists would come. They would often come and hang out and whatever. It was a fun event. And we had one event that I'll never forget. It was pretty funny with Arcade Fire. We actually ended up going to their dressing room after the show. And I remember the guys were like very good, typical Canadian, super nice, friendly, no pretense, it's like super friendly. And the drummer just spent the entire evening with a massive, like bag of ice over his head. The guy was just shot. He was exhausted. He was done for the evening. But it was fun. Yeah.
That sounds like, that's a great way to make music still a relevant part of the channel, but also make financial sense for both the partners and the channel itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helped the channel too, because within, as part of the package, There'd be a lot of ads and whatnot. Part of the promotion would give you a lot of ads, whatever on the. So it made financial sense. It was the one thing musically that really worked.
Yeah.
Like people would watch it.
That you make it an event, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Now, how did the success going from a paid channel where you're losing that revenue stream to a free channel, did that transition work?
Yeah, it was great. I remember when we launched, it was I think it was a Friday evening, and we're all watching the TV, and it was the countdown.
Yeah.
We're going we're watching the free one right now, and the countdown starts, and then boom, the channel appears, and we got like a 10-time lift on audience. We multiply the audience by 10 upon launch.
That's
So
incredible.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, let's move on to another form of
Oh,
music.
by the way,
Oh,
before we're still going to be talking about music, but one of the reasons, like Carlos and I actually started hanging out as friends through mutual friends is because I love music. I mean, I'm not as expertise as he is, and then he loves art, but I'm kind of like the art history expert. And so he used to like come to my shows and buy art for me, and we used to go see concerts together. So it's not even ironic. It was just quite obvious that we had a lot of things in common, a lot of like true core passion that we kind of like shared as two themes, together
Yeah,
harmoniously.
Art and
but-
music, bringing things
Our
together.
music, yeah, just for the benefit of the audience, but we are life partners and business partners. Sorry.
Yes.
So we're not just working together, but we have our fights over wall space of whether it's going to be one of the 5,000 vinyls or another piece of artwork.
But I have to say, when I talk about fine art, for instance, and we talk about more about music because it's like, I don't know, it just seems like it's so much more accessible whether you play Spotify or play vinyl and so forth, as opposed to like going to a museum, for instance,
Yeah.
right? But we talk really really down to the core about the essence of music and the influence culturally and from different eras and so forth. And we kind of like have similar eras, and so we tend to like analyze it. You know what I mean? And then when we talk about art, we kind of like have a similar a thought process in terms of, well, why is that? And it's like, so anyway, but I take art a little bit more personally than he does about music.
Yeah. But it all, they're both very creative expressions that, without a doubt, they kind of come through in a lot of the work we do.
Absolutely.
Whether it's music or art, they both kind of are great stimuli for both of us. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So going on the theme with music, you're also a big jazz aficionado.
Yeah.
And you're now working with O Jazz.
Yeah. Another great project, complete different. It's a new brand. I've loved, having spent most of my life in New York City. A lot of that time was spent at jazz clubs, in the evening, seeing like all the, Oscar Peterson, Chick Corea. I even met Chick Corea and Pat Metheny in person, whatever, which was pretty cool. But lot of great jazz. So the founder of O Jazz, I'll talk more about the platform in a second. But the founder is a former head of Fox Entertainment. He basically ran all of what's called EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East, and Asia, and grew it into a multi-billion operation. And so he started O Jazz. He's a founder. I had met him in over there in Spain, and he reached out afterwards to kind of bring us on board as an advisor, marketing advisor, specifically for the U.S. market. Right. He's located in Tokyo. The company's headquartered in Melbourne. And the entire team, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Tough
like,
to schedule Zoom meetings.
Everybody's like, throughout the continents, I should say. So anyway, O Jazz, O Jazz is we kind of call it the Netflix of jazz. It's a platform that it's a paid platform, subscription platform. You can monthly or annual, plans, and it basically features We have about a dozen clubs all over the world. One of them here in Pittsburgh, and people can you can we have we feature about 10 live jazz events per month, and then we have a library of over 350 on demand shows, which is yeah, so we make all this jazz available to from all over the world to all over the world, kind of
Yeah.
approach, like a global jazz approach. And the cool thing about it is that there's a um, kind of like a philanthropic thing about it. There's the jazz clubs are already spending money hiring the talent. The talent's already doing the show. This is extra change, extra money for both the club and the musicians. Talent. So we 35% of all of the revenues go, 25 of that goes to the artists, and 10% of that goes to the clubs. So it's a way of also helping out the industry and helping out the talent and the clubs.
Yeah, and for the artist, the exposure.
Yeah.
You
Of
step on
course.
stage. Instead of playing to 100 people, 200 people in a club, you have a global audience every
Yeah,
time
it's a
you.
big opportunity for them.
Yeah.
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 So what differentiates? There's a lot of online music, out there, especially on YouTube for videos. What is it that differentiates what you can find on OJazz compared to those?
So, well, a couple of things. First of all, whatever's on OJazz is you can only find it at OJazz.
Yeah.
So you can. Except we do have a strong YouTube channel where we share some of the content, bits and
Yeah.
pieces of that. But I would say the main thing is one of them is the globality. Just there's jazz people. Jazz is often referred to as the classical music of America, right? And it could because of its complexity, its creativity, and it's his whole innovation and complexity. It's not an easy genre, and they people forget sometimes how popular, how fast jazz has traveled overseas. Like Japan is the number 2 jazz listening country in the world.
I had no idea.
It's like it's only number 2 to America. That's it. It's
Yeah.
like there's the huge following of jazz in Japan, and not just following but performers. Great performance jazz. Japanese players, and so with that comes 2 things. You get the modernity to some to a large extent rather, and you get fusion. And I think well, I shouldn't say I think. What jazz does is it brings today's jazz that from the world, and it's a lot of it is about discovery. If you come here, if you go to a jazz, expect to see Ella Fitzgerald, Miles Davis, you're not going to find that. That you can get on YouTube, right? This is live jazz and on-demand jazz of the jazz that is happening today. The jazz is happening in Brazil, in Tokyo, in Melbourne, in Pittsburgh,
And may I also add that it's not just these talented jazz musicians that are actually doing covers of Ella Fitzgerald, but these are young, experimental, mid-career emerging jazz musicians that are actually creating or just composing their own music, right, and their pieces. So it's a really interesting space where we are right now, because it's so nice to actually see like these new audiences like gathering, because there's also young emerging artists just like the artists that I have worked with, and so that the continuity keeps growing and growing, and I think it's a really awesome stage that we're in.
Yeah. And the fusion is what personally I love the fusion. I hear flamenco jazz and tango jazz and Latin jazz and the flamenco jazz I've seen. There's a piece that's just like 2 grand pianos, and there's a jazz piano player and a flamenco piano player, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite shows. It's like I've seen it again and again. It's like awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it's that newness, discovery, fusion that people with an appreciation for jazz will really appreciate. I think that discovery is really cool.
I would agree. Yeah, and it keeps the genre moving forward. You know,
So
it's not
absolutely, yeah,
it's not here are the classics played by the legends over and over again.
exactly,
You know,
exactly. Yeah.
very interesting. So, what is some of the work that you do for OJazz?
So we try to pitch in several areas. I mean, basically everything U.S. related. We're trying to help. But it is such a virtual team. So we're all trying to cover different areas of the world. Like we brought the only so far the only U.S. club we have, which is Con Alma here in Pittsburgh. We try to work on some strategic alliances. We have a kind of a content partnership with All About Jazz, which is like the biggest online medium for jazz in globally. And we try to we do some digital marketing, and then one thing that kind of goes beyond that also. Beyond the geography would be that we built the payment, the subscription platform for them, which is that's obviously a global thing. It's multi-language, multi currency, and so forth. So yeah, we developed that part. So it's a lot of things as needed. In a startup company, you have to be fast and scrappy, and and prioritize, and focus on one by one.
So, web development, that's something that you guys handle as well. Is that in your wheelhouse? Is that a little like?
So yeah. I mean, most of the work that we do is, and this is largely driven by clients, not by us.
Yeah.
Is either Shopify or WordPress or Squarespace. Well,
Not as
Squarespace
much.
less and less, But sometimes we get a request saying, "Hey, we need something that requires a React or PHP coding, or development, whatever." We will do that. It's not the majority of the work, but we based on client requests, we'll do that.
It's a good tool to have in the toolkit to be able to
It's
fit the need.
Yeah. And also often goes these tools, as convenient as they are, often need some customization and coding on top of the standard product that you get.
100%.
So we're able to upgrade whatever standards, Shopify comes or WordPress. We can raise the bar on that, which we often do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what's next for OJazz?
So I think OJazz is, the cool thing is that the founder Jesus, he has this vision of it's kind of like a multimedia, multidiscipline offering. It's not just the channel is the core, of course, but there is festival. He did last year. He pulled off like an amazing jazz festival. It's called the Flamenco Jazz Festival Japan, and it was like awesome. It was like a 7-day event, great venues, great talent. They had a closing event that was held at the I believe it's like the oldest or second oldest temple in Tokyo, the Zen temple, and outside of Tokyo it is, and they had like a Michelin star dinner. All the artists participated, but that was kind of like the closing event, and that was just the first edition. It's coming again this year. So that's one thing. We do also either co-produce or some extent collaborate with other jazz festivals. There's a linear channel also, so you can go to a jazz and kind of watch on demand whatever you want, or watch a live show or whatnot, or just turn it on and put it'll just run music all day long, right? Like a linear channel. And there's a new record label that was launched. With this like awesome vinyl, which is actually distributed here in the record stores here in Pittsburgh.
Attic Records.
Yeah.
Oh,
Attic
really?
Records has it. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I think it's going to be expanding that jazz ecosystem, just helping I think Naera said it before, just the entire industry thrive and the ecosystem of artists, thrive, and obviously grow our subscriber base.
That's awesome. Yeah, the that intersection of technology and arts, You two find yourself there quite a bit, so that's pretty cool.
I don't know. Sometimes I wish I had more time to do fine arts, or at least work with fine artists. I feel like I'm like the artist, you know. But sometimes, yeah, it's a nice balance, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. It's well, it's two passions we have, so among many others.
There's a lot more.
Yeah.
We have a lot more storytelling ahead. So we'll invite you back, Evan.
I can't wait. Stay tuned. So that has been another episode of Marketing Across Industries. If you're interested in checking out more podcasts, head over to themachine.biz/podcasts. Carlos, Naera, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Evan.
much, Evan.